Hi friends, welcome. My name is Ram and in this session today I am going to discuss how to configure bind Beckley name server domain. Okay, that is a DNS server, and we'll understand all steps, basic steps including security, firewall settings and everything. And just for the sake of to save time, I have already written the steps so that it takes me less time to type. And this is the file which I'll be using. I've configured everything. I have written the stuff for you, and I'm going to explain from this file, as well as I'm going to demonstrate each and every step. So my environment, my infrastructure is ready, and we are ready to go. Okay, so what we will discuss, as I said, is complete setup of bind, that is DNS server. So my setup details are, in this session I'm going to talk about or install the configure bind a DNS service named. The DNS server listen to port number 53, and this is the default port unless you change it. In my case, I am working on Oracle VM VirtualBox, and it rhel 7 64-bit installed on that. It is updated latest. We just updated in 5 minutes back. All updates installed, and I'm using CentOS repository. I'll show you that repository also to install the packages. I'm using one more repository, pkg, and that's good repository. EPEL is also enabled. So CentOS repository, EPL repository, and pkg. I have enabled 3 repositories in case I require any software. So the name server which I'm going to talk about is bind, which is Beckley Internet Name Domain, and my master server is going to be server.example.com, and this is going to be the IP address, and client, which I'll configure later on, is going to be client1.example.com with this IP address. Okay, port is 53, and platform is, as I said, Oracle VM VirtualBox, and RPM source is CentOS EM repository. Prerequisite is we need to configure the static IP address for the master DNS server, and this must be, this is must and recommended to have static IP address configured on the DNS NIC using network manager client utility. Okay, that is NMCLI. So which earlier it used to be you know uh, network manager, and command line utility earlier used to be system config network or net config, but now it is NMCLI, and we'll be using this. So let's start with this only. NMCLI connection add connection name as ETS0, IF name, that is the interface name is ENP0S8, because I can show you that that is my connection name, and just have a look. I can show you that. One second. Let me make it full size because it's creating problems. So I can I can make it full size, so that I don't have any other interface. So this is the interface name, my friends, ENP0S8, and right now it is off. Okay, I have added that VirtualBox at the time of this card at the time of installation only, so no worry on that part. So uh, connection add, this is, and type is Ethernet, auto connect is yes, IP for IP address is 192.168.1.20. as I said, I'll be using this IP address. Okay, and 24 means net mask is 255.255.255.0, and this is gateway. Gateway 4 is 192.168.1.1. So I am simply saving the time to copy paste this, and you can take note of it. So let me just do it quickly. So here we are, paste. Okay, so network manager command line utility, connection add, connection name ETS0, and type Ethernet, auto connect yes. All right, and connection added successfully. Right, so this is the static IP address configuration steps. First step. Second is we need to modify this. Okay, connection modify ETS0, DNS is this, and we can modify this. One second. We just copy the same line, modifying the DNS, copy, and I'm simply saving the time. Otherwise, last time I recorded the session by typing, so that took me a lot of time. So I thought, why not to give the command directly so that you can directly try. More important is the connection settings and all. This is not that important as well. Now this is modify ETS0, and this how I'm going to access it. So this is next line is uh, we want to manage it manually. We want to switch on, switch off, or down and up. We should want to do it manually. We don't want automatic. Okay, so let's just paste this also. Connection modify ETS0 method manual. Now after this is configured, the manual setup is done. What we need to do is we need to down it and up it. Okay, and the command is basically what we need to do is we need to down and up to check the status of the network connections. So let's down it again. Simple command nm CLI connection down ETS0. This way you can manage it. It's not active connection, no active connection provided, so it is already down. So let's try to up now. Okay, try to make it up. Okay, yes, now it is up. So let's try if config to check the IP address. So we should have the IP address now. So the IP address you can check, it should be 192.168.1.20. Yes, we can see that this is the IP address, friends. 192.168.1.20. So the IP address is configured. All right. So and we have given it a name also, ETS0. Now we can find a file corresponding to this. Okay, let's check that file. Let's check it, verify the network settings, and the IP address config in the file, whether the file is created or not. Okay, so let's try that. grep-w boot pro 2 under CTC etc sysconfig network scripts ifcfg ETS0. This file is created when we manually configure this IP address. Right now it says none, so we need to edit it. So we need to make it static. Okay, let's edit this file. We need to make it static. It should be static, it should not be none. Okay, boot pro 2 right now it says none, so let's add it. It should be static, because the IP address, basically we are trying to say IP address, and rest all setting whatever I did, you remember that it's all up to here. On boot is yes, IP address is 192.168.1.20. so we have done that all settings. All right, so IP address is configured. Let's continue. So we are here right now. So we have done that down and up. We have let's restart that network settings now. Systemctl restart network.service. Okay, systemctl restart. It should be small letters, let me be careful. Restart network.service. Alright, systemctl restart network.service will restart our network service, and we should be able to ping that IP address. Let's try to ping 192.168.1.20. Yes, we are able to ping. The IP address is configured. Okay, so we have done the static IP address configuration. Let's go back once again. So we have restarted the service, and we have checked this configuration setting also, and now so far so good. And we have made the changes into this file, and I just showed this file also. Now the second part is localhost file on the DNS server. My friends, this is I'm going to demonstrate it very quickly. When we say the DNS, what does it mean? It means that a user friendly name is what is the domain name, but that is not actual concept which is recognized by the internet services. It is the IP address which is actually more important. Just like you don't remember the telephone numbers, you remember the names. And but each of your friend must be having telephone number. You remember the telephone number by the name, not by the telephone number. You don't remember the name by telephone number. Okay, so same way here, IP address is the actual number, and the name, user friendly name corresponding to that IP address is called the domain name. Now therefore we need to have a table or a database which will provide this mapping to us for easy resolving. That means if I type an IP address, should resolve to a name, and if I type a name, it should resolve to an IP address. Means the mapping should be there between the domain name and the IP address. Two ways to do it. One is the domain name. We can simply make an entry into ETS localhost, or sorry, ETS host file, and if you make an entry there, that will work. But the problem is it will not be available for the world. It will be for local network only. It is applicable only for the local area network. So you will be able to create a local resolver if you want in your local environment, and that is quite simple. Let me just quickly demonstrate that what does that mean and how it works. Okay, let me explain that. Okay, we are going to simply edit the file vi/etc/hosts. This is called the local resolver. So we simply create an entry here, and we type the IP address 192.168.1.20. okay, and the server name whatever we want, server dot example dot com. Now it is that simple. Okay, or we can simply type a user friendly name, short name also, server. So server.example.com or server, and we simply save it, and this will work as long as it is a local area network, and we call it as local resolver. So I should be able to ping it now using server dot example.com. It will ping. Okay, that's simple. So that means I'm able to connect, I'm able to access using server.example.com because I have made an entry. This is called local resolver. Okay, so we can create this and we can edit it, but we don't want this. I'm deleting this line. This is not the case we want, because we want world recognizable, and for worldwide services we cannot depend on this local resolver. We have to have a fully qualified domain name using DNS server, and this is why we are sitting here, and this is why we are learning the DNS server configuration. But however, local resolver, if you want the simplest possible solution, you can do it very quickly by making a simple entry into etc host file. Okay, so we have done that. I am skipping this. Now then we can set up a host name using host name ctl set host name server.example.com. You can do this also. Okay, so let's do this also. Okay, so now I simply paste it, and this will work. Host name is configured. Host name, so you can set using this also by typing static. Okay, so we are typing like this by specifying the static IP, static server name. So this is also invalid argument. One second, host name ctl set host name server.example. It is hyphen static basically, because I copy pasted, that was a problem. So it should be double hyphen actually. Now it will work. Okay, so we can set the host name by this also, but again, as I said, our focus is not this. Our focus is the DNS server. Okay, so let's make this, avoid this now, and we have done this entry, and I have demonstrated how to configure it into etc hosts. That is called local resolver. So now if we want to check the host name ctl status, so host name ctl status, and that we can type by specifying this hostname CTL status. Okay, this is how we can set the hostname CTL. Now we can see the hostname details server.example.com. Okay, sorry guys, there's a lot of disturbance now, but now this is how you can check that. Let's go on to configure our DNS server. So first thing is SC Linux, security enhanced Linux. Now I have disabled in my case. I can show you SC status, and in my case it is disabled. Okay, let's check that and let me show you quickly. SC status. Okay, in my case it is disabled. Next is we are all set as far as the IP address is concerned, static IP address is concerned, SC Linux is concerned, security enhanced Linux, all things are done. Let's check the software. Okay, RPM hyphen QA, and we grep bind. Let us check. We need mainly two softwares. One is bind and second is bind utils. I have already installed that, but if you want you can check. Oh, sorry, we need to grep it. Grep bind. So all these packages are not required. In case, what you should try is only this one and bind utils. That's it. You need only these two. Okay, so you can install like giving this command yum install bind hyphen utils. Okay, so even if I give this command, it will say that they are already installed, so I'm okay with it. So this is how you can install the bind and bind utilities. Alright, now what we need to do is we need to configure. The next is software. The packages are installed now. Okay, so yum install bind utilities, we have already done that. Enabling DNS IP to accept DNS requests. So next is enable the DNS configure to enable, okay, the DNS configuration to enable named service to accept the request on the DNS server IP address. So what does it mean? In our lab setup, it is 192.168.1.20, and to perform the changes manually we need to edit the file name.conf file. But problem is we don't want this named.conf to be changed frequently, because our intention, our long-term plan is to create a script to automatically add zone to the name server rather than manually making entries. I'm demonstrating it for the first time. In next session, if you watch, I'll create a script and I'll simply be adding these zone file and creating zones directly. Okay, now first thing is we need to allow that. This is one time entry and this is required. So make sure before you add it, you take a backup of the named.conf file. The file is located here, etc named.conf, and you take a backup of this file, named.conf file. Okay, and this is how you make a copy of it and then edit it. There are two entries to be made into this file. Let me quickly demonstrate to you what entries we need to make. Okay, vi slash etc slash named dot conf. So one is that listen on port. Right now it is saying listen on port on localhost port only. So we need to make an entry here. Okay, we need to make an entry, and that entry should be the additional IP address that is 192.168.1.20 which we have added. So let's add that 192.168.1.20. Okay, so make sure that you follow the syntax 192.168.1.20. this is one, and second is allow query. It is allowing queries only from the local host, so we should make it any. That is second entry. These are the two changes which we need to make here. Okay, Now and third is, after that what we need is, we'll be needing to create a zone file, and we need to add the details of our what do you say, the zone entries into this file, with the file name and all the details. So for that, I don't want to disturb this file again and again. What I want to do, in my case, I have created this one file named dot local dot zones. This line was not there in the default file, so when you install, you will not find this file, this line, second last line. I have added it. Okay, why? Because I want my zones to be separately entered into a blank file, and this file is where I am going to populate all my zones. Okay, so we need to make an entry for forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone, all these zones into this local dot zone file. Right now this file is not there, it is not created. I'm going to create it. I'm going to start from scratch. This file is I have created. There's no region other than this, that I want to manage my own zones into a separate file, so that this file is not getting disturbed again and again, and I don't want to come back to this file named .conf, the default file, just to avoid that unnecessary problems. Okay, so here we are. Before editing the default configuration, we have done this. Now allow query, so after editing we have done this, added the entry, and allow query any, we have done this part also. Now once we have made the above changes, we can start the name service to ensure that changes worked fine and service started without any problem. So system CTL, let's enable the service. Okay, let's enable the service, and start and status, check the status. Alright, system CTL enable named dot service. First thing is enable the service, so that on reboot it is automatically started, and start name dot service, and let's check the status also. So right now it is started. Okay, right. So right now currently it is started service. Okay, so let's go back and move on to the next step. We have not created any zone file yet. Okay, so we are here, status named started. Now we need to check the port number, whether the port is open or not, and port number 53, and whether it is listening on this port number 53 or not. So I'm just trying to copy and grab it, and we should see the entries similar to this IP address colon port number and all. So let's grab the port and let's check whether it is working so far. Paste. Yes, it is working. You can see the IP address 192.168.1.20, port number 53. So it is listening. Alright, so far all set, friends. So it is working fine so far. So the status is working. Let's move on to the last part of our setting, which is the DNS server. So from the DNS server, above output confirm the DNS server is listening on loop back DNS IP, which is 192.168.1.20 and port number 53 for TCP and UDP protocols. Now the firewall settings. To enterprise setup, generally operating system firewall is kept off, because the enterprise firewall itself is there to take care of the network security. In this lab I'm not going to disable the local firewall, because we don't have that enterprise level firewall here. So what we need to do is, we need to use the command firewall-cmd zone public port number 53, and we need to enable it. Okay, let me just do a copy paste and it save my time. Yes, you can wait and you can pause the video for a few seconds and you can try yourself. So for me, I'm saving the time and just using a copy paste. So firewall cmd zone public add port 53 TCP permanent. Okay, oh, it is already added. That's great. Because I tried earlier also, I'll added that. So it is already added, no problem, we can safely ignore it. But yes, you must do it. In my case, it is already there. And let's check this also. UDP. Same concept, exactly same command, only the port type is UDP here. This also you must be fine. Yes, it is there. Okay, let's reload the firewall. Now this is the firewall setting. We must set the firewall and paste. So reload the firewalls success. Okay. Now once the firewall is configured and loaded, let's move on here again and again. I'm just saving the time, my friends. I would have done this without this, but to save time I'm using copy paste. Once firewall rules configured and loaded, we can test it using nmap command, and the beauty of nmap utility is that we can test both TCP and UDP connectivity, and by default it is not installed if in your case. So what you simply do is yum install nmap. Okay, in my case it was not there, so I installed it, and once it is installed we can try this. So even if you don't have this, you simply what you can do is you can install it using yum command, yum command. So we can check that. So all port number listening 53 TCP open and the domain is the service. So good, so far all settings are perfect. We are moving on the last step, my friends, and that is the DNS server configuration. We can check the specific IP address also, and this will give more details. This definitely this will give you more details. So let's try this also. So this is what we have. So you will get a service UDP. This time I typed as service -s for service and U for UDP. So you can see that 53 UDP open. But earlier without -s it was TCP. So 53 TCP open. So all right. Now the final step is the DNS configuration. So here we have the DNS configuration. Now what we need to do is we need to create zone files, and we make an entry. First is we will update the name.cnf, which I have already done. I just demonstrated also while I was updating that. Okay, we will update the name.cnf to include named.local.zones for the names of forward and reverse lookup files. To do this, edit the file etc name.conf and add the following line at the bottom, which I have already done and I demonstrated that. This is to set up our own configuration file so that we can add multiple zones later on, because I'm going to create a script to automatically add zone to this file. So it will save a lot of time, and I'm going to demonstrate that in the next lecture. The script is already ready and working. Okay, and keep this named.conf untouched. So this is the line which I have added, and I showed this line. This line was added, named.local.zone. Now added that etc this file etc named.local.zone and make these entries. Now let's go and make the entries, friends. Let's open that file, vi/etc/named.local.zone. Right now, as I said, this file is blank. So we need to make an entry for our example zone and reverse lookup for the example zone. Okay, so I'm doing that very quickly to save time, and I'll explain this file. And second is this reverse lookup zone file. I'll explain this file also. These two lines, two entries. These are mandatory entries. So let's look at these entries after this. So let me explain now. Now first is zone example.com in. Now because we want to configure the resolver, we want to configure the DNS server for example.com. So we have to make an entry into this. Type is master. The file for this is for.example.com.db. You can keep any name. I'm just keeping a user friendly name. So forward lookup for for forward and example.com.db. Okay, then this is reverse lookup entry. This is the typical structure of reverse lookup is you leave the last digit and you write that into reverse order. It is 192.168.1 on in reverse order. So 192.168.1 up to this, and but you need to add this dot n hyphen address hyphen arpa. Okay, and then type is master, and the file is reverse rev.example.com.db. Now these files must be there in /var/named, because that is where we are going to create these zone files. The IP address, name servers, time to live, SOL, start of authority, email address, all these settings must be there in these two files. The most important being forward.example.com.db. Okay, so this is the first part of this entry. Now after this we need to make an entry into the zone file. So here we have done this example.n, example.com, this entry and this entry, these two entries we have done. Now we need to create these files like forward.example.com under var, and we need to make these entry into that file. So I'll simply saving the time, and I'll show you what these entries are. I'll explain, because I already tried all these things to save the time. So let me go and open that file, vi slash var slash named slash 4 dot example dot com dot db. Okay, where named 4.example.com.db, and this is where we need to create the actual zone file, and this is the zone file. Let me explain this. $TTL, this is time to live. You can safely keep it as 14400, which is 12 hours. SOA, start of authority, server.example.com is your fully qualified domain name. Dot, there must be a space here, and this is the email address. This is the typical structure of email address to be specified in a zone file. This actually is root@example.com, but you have to type the dot as a separator. So this is the email address. Okay, and there's a space, and now here this is the serial number. So let's keep the serial number as 2017, and today is the 9th month, 09 9th month, so 19 2017, and serial number, refresh time, refresh rate, retry rate, expire, and minimum time to live. Okay, let's make this also as 7200. So you can change it to up as per your convenient. And this is the name server @ns. N stands for internet. We call them as RR. RR stands for resource records. Each of these lines are resource records. Okay, so first line is this. This line starts from here and ends here. So first line is resource record, which stands for SOA, starts of authority. This is IN for internet, NS for name server. This is again IN for internet, A for address. This A means the fully qualified domain name itself, means server.example.com. So name server for this is server.example.com. The IP address for this 192.16, this seems to be same line, so let's remove it, duplicate line. Okay, in A 192.168.1.20, and server IP address is 192, again same www client1, and let's change the IP address for the client as 121. Okay, this is my zone file done. Now I can save and quit. The zone file is created, the most important being. Alright, let's continue. Now after this we have to create a reverse lookup zone file. That is rev.example.com .db. So this is a reverse lookup zone file. The file name must adhere to the name which we specified there. Okay, let's go back and check this. It's only the rev here, rev.example.com.db, and again same process. So let me explain once again, same thing. So this is again time to live. I'm keeping it as it is. Start of authorities, rest of the things are same. The IP, this is a serial number, and time to live, refresh time, retry, expire, minimum time to live. And another important thing is what we need to specify here is pointer, PTR entry. This is for reverse lookup, and this is mandatory. Same way the IP address, 20, you type only the last digits here, 20, and this is reverse lookup entry actually, my friends, and server.example.com, and 21 is for client1.example.com. So this way, I repeat, 21, it is the last digit only, uh, 192.168.1.21, and this is 20, 191, 192.168.1.20, right? And this is called reverse lookup. So we need to make pointer entries, and this is sufficient for reverse lookup. Reverse lookup zone is also done. Okay, so these are the two files which we have created here, forward lookup and reverse lookup. Now what we need to do is configure the permissions and ownership of the bind configuration files. So the group name should be named. So let's copy these commands and give this command quickly to change the ownership. So change group ownership. Next is name.conf. Named, it should be root should be the owner, which is the root in fact, but the group name should be the named. chown -v username root group name named etc name.conf. Okay, it's already there. Next is the file which I have created. Okay, the ownership for that file. So let's change the ownership of that file also the same, because this is the file which I have created. So root named etc named dot local dot conf. Okay, cannot access named dot local dot conf, no such file or directory. etc named dot local dot conf, it is there, no? What happened? Let me try. /etc slash named dot local dot conf. Yeah, I created the file. Fail to change ownership. Cannot access this, no such file or directory. One second. /ls etc slash named dot local dot, oh, local dot zone. Oh, that was a mistake here. It should be local dot conf. Let's verify that what is the name there. Okay, let's see. I think I typed something wrong, but never mind. What name I give there and what is there? Oh, let me check this. So we must verify it, so just give me 1 second. So what is the name of the file given here? Oh, it is local dot zones. So sorry, and the file name is also zones. So it is local dot zones, ZONES, right? Yes, done. That was not local dot conf, it is local dot zones. And then we must change this ownership, this where also. So few ownerships must be changed. Restore configuration the same way, etc name.conf. So we are going to do it for all the three files, conf, and then finally restore on. The last one is this zones. Let me change the zones. Alright, all the done. Now we can check the syntax. Okay, let's check the syntax, and for syntax checking we have the command named -check configuration. Okay, let's try and check the configuration. This is user bin named check conf etc name.conf. All set, wonderful, there's no error, all good. And we can simply type this. I don't have to specify this path completely, named checkconf, and second my file also I'm going to check that also, named dot local dot zones. This also correct. Okay, let us see. It is saying that this file is not found, reverse.example.com.db. okay, loading from master, failed to file not found, not loaded due to address. Let me check that again. No problem at all. Reverse dot example example. Let me check where named. cd slash where slash named. Let us see that we have r example dot rev dot example dot. There must be some typo or something, otherwise there should be no problem. example.com.db. All seems to be fine. Let's check once again. Yes, it is fine. Local dot zones, loaded serial number, all good. So we have the file and everything is fine. Yep. Okay. So we can see that it is loaded properly and the serial number loaded. So wonderful. So here we are. Let me show you. I have showed up to here. I have given this command, checking also done, performance checking also done. Alright, now we can simply restart. This part is done, my friends. Now we simply can restart. Yes, so we must start systemctl restart named dot service. Okay, service restarted. Now we can ping server dot example.com. It should ping now, and now it is pinging because of the DNS server, not because of the local reservoir, because we deleted that file already. You want to verify that? There's a wonderful command for this purpose, and that command is dig. In fact, you can simply type server dot example.com. okay, so you can check that question section. We tried for asking server.example.com. we got the answer and the IP address and all. Now we can check even the www also, because we made an entry for www also, and www.example.com. Yes, so for it authority is server.example.com, and this is IP address. So therefore we can ping www.example.com also, and it will work. Alright, so that's all, my friends, and I have successfully configured a named server. I tried saving the time because I thought that it will should not take much time, so I just make all the entries properly into a text file, and then I use a copy paste. I hope you will not mind that, and you can give a pause and try the commands yourself. Alright, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye, take care.